imagine walking through an airport, right, and a digital billboard just magically changes its language the exact second your specific flight lands.
Yeah, you usually just walk right by and don't even think about it.
Exactly. But today we are doing a deep dive into the tiny 1.3-pound black and purple box that actually makes that magic happen. It is the BrightSign XD236 32GB 4K Digital Signage Media Player.
A very long name for a very small box.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this. You might walk past these digital signs in stores or corporate offices every single day, but our mission today is to decode the product listing and spec sheet to figure out what is really going on under the hood.
Right, because it is so easy to just glance at those screens and keep moving.
Right.
But the technology required to run them flawlessly, I mean, day in and day out without a single glitch, is incredibly complex.
It really is. Like, looking at the spec sheet, it reads less like a standard computer and more like, I don't know, a high-end, video-obsessed smartphone without a screen.
That is a great analogy, yeah.
But I do have to push back on one thing right away. It lists 256 gigabytes of internal storage, plus a pre-installed 32GB microSD card. Like, isn't that total overkill? How much space does a looping video really need?
Well, what's fascinating here is we are light years past the days of simple looping video.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. That expansive storage is there because this device is fully HTML5 compliant. So it's not just playing a static file. It's running interactive 2D motion graphics and pulling modern web content in real time.
Oh, so it needs that storage to cache all that complex data so the customer experience doesn't lag.
Exactly. And it is doing all of that while decoding a single 10-bit 4K video at a blistering 60 frames per second.
Okay, but wait. If it is pulling web data, rendering graphics, and pushing 4K video all at once, how does the processor not just instantly bottleneck?
Right. That is where the NPU comes in.
A neural processing unit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Think of an NPU as a dedicated brain just for predictive AI-style tasks. So instead of the main processor getting bogged down trying to figure out what data to load next, the NPU anticipates the interaction.
Oh, wow.
And combined with a built-in real-time clock, it ensures that visually rich content loads exactly when it is supposed to.
Okay, that makes sense. But, I mean, all that immense processing power generates heat. Usually, running complex web graphics requires a stable, climate-controlled server room.
For a standard computer, sure.
Right, but these boxes have to survive being shoved behind screens in some pretty wild physical environments.
Exactly, and that dictates the hardware design. It has a high operating temperature range. Like, it functions anywhere from 32 up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is wild. So you could lock this inside a sweltering glass bus stop enclosure in the middle of July, and it just keeps running.
It just keeps running.
Well, speaking of bus stops, I was looking at the wireless specs, and here's where it gets really interesting. I was expecting standard Wi-Fi, but it lists built-in global positioning, so GPS and GLONASS.
Yeah, that surprises a lot of people.
I mean, why on earth does a box bolted to a wall need a GPS chip?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to remember these aren't always bolted to a static wall. This allows for location-aware content in transit applications.
Okay, give me an example.
So imagine you are sitting on a train. As you physically cross the city limits, the GPS chip registers that exact coordinate change, right? And the overhead ad instantly swaps from a national brand to, say, the local coffee shop you were about to pull up to.
Oh, wow. I completely forgot about mobile digital signs. But what about the ones that are actually bolted to walls in retail or corporate settings? Because I am stuck on this Power over Ethernet Plus or PoE Plus feature.
Oh, that is a massive game changer for installers.
Right, because are you saying they're running a computer that processes 4K video entirely off the trickle of power you get from an internet cable?
That is exactly what they are doing. Because it uses PoE Plus, a store owner doesn't need to hire a licensed electrician to wire a brand new power outlet into a concrete wall.
That is incredibly convenient.
Yeah, one single gigabit Ethernet cable delivers both the 4K video data and the electrical power to turn the device on. Plus, it also features standard USB-C for even more setup flexibility.
That explains so much. I mean, when you realize it is basically doing the job of a high-end web server, a 4K broadcast studio, and a digital audio player supporting formats like WAV, AAC, and MP3. It really is a powerhouse.
It really is.
And honestly, the $693 MSRP suddenly makes a lot of sense. The barrier to entry has completely vanished, especially with that 5% off discount code and free USA shipping we saw on the product listing.
Yeah, it is incredibly accessible for what it actually does.
So what does this all mean?
Well, this raises an important question. If a tiny, wall-mountable media player now packs 256 gigabytes of storage, an AI-focused NPU, and global positioning, how will the physical retail and corporate spaces you walk through adapt when the walls themselves can intelligently react to your exact location and dynamic web environments?